All right, so we're going to get started again. A couple of people also asked a question about personalizing resumes based on the type of job you're applying to, and that's actually a very good question. As a general rule, if you're applying to a certain type of job, you want your resume to come out and be talk about that particular type of practice area that you're in. To see here, and we did change all the names. I was just going through and making sure. We see you do a lot of resumes later, so I wanted to make sure all the names were changed. So that's why we took a little bit longer to break. So these are not real people's names or employers. But if you recognize your resume, you're welcome to ask questions. So the big thing, though, is that this particular person looks like a trust in the state's attorney here, or this particular last person, I'm sorry, looks like a trust in the state's attorney here. But then here she starts talking about all these other types of things that she did related to business and contracts and so forth. So if this resume would be much stronger if it was just trust in the states and showed a pattern of maybe moving from a smaller law firm to a bigger law firm doing trust in the states. People want to see a focus. So the resumes that have a focus are typically the best. This person's resume is good because of the type of tax. I don't know what type of tax this person does exactly. So it would be better like if they did, like I work with different types of tax attorneys at Big Four accounting firms all the time. And you can, if you have the right experience and the right particular niche, like if it's employee benefits or if it's state and local tax, you can often be employable in a law firm, even if you've only worked in an accounting firm and you've worked there for a long time. So any type of focus you show is better. And the more focus your resume shows for a particular job and firm, the better off you're going to be. Let's see here. Okay, so this person is a government attorney working for doing alternative dispute resolution. Now, a lot of times it's very difficult for people that work for the government and have careers in the government many times to transition into private practice because of the types of resumes. And I believe the government must teach this. The types of resumes the government attorneys tend to, and I don't like government resumes as a general rule. I think that they're very difficult to read. There's too much information on them, and I often have a hard time understanding them. This particular resume, as you can see, is very long. The resume is far too long and doesn't really tell me very much. It tells me that they work for the government and that it says an awful lot. And you can see how long this resume is. All this stuff really doesn't show anything other than that this person has overcome unprecedented challenges of both develop and implementing new processes that really exist for attorneys' effective work product, oversee the ADR program. It's time consuming, should have a dash after it. So you can see that just this resume is far too long and it's a narrative. And this sort of thing wouldn't even be acceptable for a cover letter. It's way too long. All you need to say is what the person did there. And then a couple bullet points about what the experience is. We're talking about a lot of, and these are very common, by the way. There's nothing wrong with this resume as a government resume. This is how government attorneys are taught. But there's just a lot of problems with this resume, and I hope you can see it. Because honestly, I've been reading this for the past few minutes. I read resumes, hundreds of them a day, and I still don't understand what this person does. And so if it was much shorter, what I would like to see is if the person did whistleblower investigations for the government, that's enough. Like then I could search for jobs that did that and find information about that. But this all needs to be boiled down. And that's what good attorneys do. They take a lot of very difficult to understand information and they boil it down. That's why you're taught to read cases and come up with a couple conclusions about what a case means in law school. And so this resume needs to be way boiled down a lot. And there's a lot of problems with this from the standpoint of somebody who's trying to do private practice too. The problem is can you do the job? And people have to be able to write concisely and quickly for most types of jobs. Can you be managed? This person looks like they're keeping track of every single thing that they do. So that's not good. If you had someone that's notating every little thing that makes everything that they do good, that wouldn't be the kind of person you would necessarily want in your company or firm. And then this person may do the job long term. They may, but I don't know. I can't understand any of this. They worked for the government for a long time. And here they worked on Social Security and here they're working on something else. So I really can't answer those questions. And then these were jobs that they had before that were unrelated. And so each job just seems like the person is doing all this different stuff. And so it's too complex. This person needs to, no one's going to hire this person, not because this person may not be good at their job, but because attorneys are taught to write succinctly, to put things down succinctly. And this person seems to think everything's relevant. And can you imagine if you ask this person for some research and they came, and I'm not being critical, but what this says, if you ask this person to do a quick job, they would, come up, they would look at all this information and they would think things that would be important or not. And then education, fine. I don't know that who's who among American law students is really something that you need to put on there. I don't know that a minor in aging is necessary unless your job is dealing with aging. And so this is just, there's a lot of information here. And then, there's no graduation date from the law school. It looks like this person probably graduated in 2000, maybe. Okay. Yeah. So 2000. So you want to make sure that you have a graduation date. And just because, again, if you don't put a graduation date in your resume, what you're saying is, I think you, employer, are going to discriminate against me because of my age. And that's possible. You can't get around it. You have to make that up with your personality or whatever. And I do think everyone should put their graduation date on the resume. I think that this needs to be run through a grammar program, and probably even this is Grammarly that I use, but there's also another one called Pro Writing Aid. Let's see here, where's that here? That's on here too. And so you just need to shorten all this up. The resume is way too long. It's a good government resume for someone that wants to continue working in the government, maybe, but you don't need all of this stuff on here. And no one's going to know, except someone that's in the government, with the DoD OIG Unique Team Award means. You just have to clear all that up. The big thing is you just want to show people, and the one page typically is enough, that you can do the job. Okay, again, this is a made up name. Let's see here, Hiroko Hikori Nada.